don't understand why you're 40 years old playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But. Well,
how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Indeed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Honey Badger Arcade, and this is today's episode of the Week in Culture. My name is Brian. I am not confused about my gender. This is symbolic. I hope you guys get that through your heads at some point.
I mean, it's been 10 years, dude.
I know. I've only been using the Vivian James model for a short time, and I get it that you know, some people are going to look at this and they're going to have presumptions, but until I work out a better, until I work out like something a little bit more, I don't know, like streamlined, because I have like some things that I'd like to do and it just doesn't seem to be working out. So until that happens, yeah, you're just stuck with her. So all right, anyway, I am joined by John, the problematic white guy, who is my co-host, and I really appreciate him being here to give his input. So hi, John, how you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm awesome as always. Just drinking my coffee and getting the new server set up for Discord and everything.
You should tell us about the server and then give me the link, and I'll put it in the description of the video so people can join it.
Yeah. I'll drop the link here before we get out here. But currently, we're working on the name. We got a couple ideas. Right now, it's just under problematic white guy. It just is the holder. But it's basically, the idea behind it is we're making a YouTube creator support server. And we're going to try to bring in different kind of creators from different aspects of the YouTube sphere to kind of make it a little bit easier for collaborations, things like that to happen. And just, do group chats and, I don't know, basically I'm starting a pirate radio network. Is really what it kind of comes down to. I just want to be able to go online whenever I feel like it. So this seemed like a good way to do that. So, yeah. Right. But I'll drop a link here before the end of the show.
Yeah, definitely do that. So John's got his own Discord server. I also have a Discord server. Somebody in the chat asked, how does one join your Discord? Well, I don't know which one you're referring to, but join them both. Why not? There's a link to my Discord in the description, and I'll be adding his at the end of the show. I'll just make it a permanent fixture, and it'll just be there from that point on, So anyway, and also we are joined by Jojo, my dog, who is probably the real star of the show. Let's be real. And you could see him on the screen there, just kind of chilling out. I walked him before the show to make sure that he was good and chill, so that he wouldn't be bugging me about whatever. But anyway, we actually have a lot to get into. I thought it was gonna be a slow news day, but there's actually quite a bit going on that I want to address. Even some things that I didn't actually have as part of my layout that's really breaking, but I'll bring that up when it's relevant if I remember. Please.
There's also some stuff that's very hidden away that's kind of building right now. So
I'm sure that's always going on too, right? So anyway, so first things first, let's open up with some stuff going on in Hollywood and the media. Not a lot, just a couple things I want to talk about. So one, you guys probably already know that there's the remake of Snow White is coming out, and there are tens of people that are excited to see it. But somebody thought it would be a great idea to make a funny little animation to save us some time, because we have busy schedules. We're constantly working. A lot of us have to hold up 2 jobs just to put food on the table because of the shape of the economy. So a very considerate and obviously talented individual on a YouTube channel called Beanie Bros gave us a video to sort of summarize Snow White. That way it's an abridged version, so we don't have to worry about like, oh, can I set aside an hour and a half to 2 hours to, you know, watch this obvious like successful film that Disney is putting out. So let's take a look. This is the new Snow White movie in 1 minute, so that, you know, you guys get ready because you're gonna have the whole story laid out for you really quickly. And it's also using cutting edge technology, I must say. Cutting edge technology.
Indeed.
So yeah, let's give this a listen. Here we go.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Let's see. Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex. I don't need anything from someone like you.
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
I'm really sorry. I was just trying to be kind.
Kind? If you want to be kind, disappear and take the patriarchy with you. Seriously, go away, stalker. You're weird. Weird.
My queen, you're the fairest, but no longer the most evil.
Wait, what?
There you go.
It's on
And
point.
speaking of evil, we'll get to that in a little while. But yeah, I mean, that it's a perfectly progressive way of approaching a really outdated story from, you know, ancient history when men and women just did not know how to get along. In fact, their relationship was probably so poor. It's a miracle that we're all still here today.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I've taken to calling her Sandy Brown because she's anything but Snow White, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny watching the downfall of Ratchet Zegler and just kind of like, you know, like her ominous prophetic words. All of Andrew's life could get cut. You never know. This is Hollywood, baby. And
Yep.
I just think about that, about how there's a young little girl who's now been made the younger version of Sandy Brown, who's had her part in the movie made larger, and she has more scenes now. So subsequently, that means that the Zegs had her stuff cut down, and she can't even stop fighting with her coworkers over you know, this Palestine stuff. Like, you know, just, I mean, I'll be honest. I find both Israel and Palestine to be reprehensible. I think they're both terrible. So, you know,
I always
reasons.
say when people ask me, all I say is I hope both teams have fun. I just don't want to be involved. Yeah.
I mean, I feel sorry for the people that are caught in the middle on either side of the conflict itself, but but we're talking about something that's been going on since the dawn of time. So I don't think anybody's going to fix it with, like, you know, like a 20-second TikTok video, or like, you know, some just grandstanding statement through YouTube or whatever, or not YouTube, but I guess she probably uses Twitter. No, she doesn't use. No, she probably uses, like, because Twitter's like, you know, the evil app now.
She uses Instagram and
Instagram.
Threads.
Yeah.
Instagram. That's where all the hoes are at. But anyway, so I thought that was a funny little trailer. I thought I would share really quick. But let's get into another story. This is actually kind of interesting. So, who here has watched the show Twin Peaks?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I kind of live in Twin Peaks.
So yeah, it turns out that let me alter this a little bit so that the people watching on the vertical
can read
see it. Yeah, because the problem is that the vertical has a limited space. Jojo, lay down. So I just gotta find the appropriate image
Layouts.
here, the layout. Yeah, and then I just gotta shrink it down so it fits. But here you go, guys. Here you go. So I'm gonna move it down here. So Kyle MacLachlan, who was like essentially the main character of the original Twin Peaks show back in the 90s, says he hopes nobody tries to reboot Twin Peaks. Don't touch that.
Indeed.
MacLachlan hasn't ruled out another return of the role of Dale Cooper, but he doesn't want to see another actor taking his coffee and pie. So, I mean,
no.
I don't really
be a crime against.
Yeah, it would. It would. Yeah, have you never seen it? Okay, well, how to explain?
Would I can give a quick dissertation, I suppose.
Yeah,
I do my best. So Twin Peaks starts off seeming like
try not to spoil it. Try not to spoil anything. Though.
Right. No.
Yeah,
It starts off as though it's a weekly serialized drama. It was actually one of the first times in broadcast television that broke the formula of just the 30-minute kind of bottle episodes
Episodic.
where you could just kind of you could just throw something out there and like it didn't really matter. It didn't have like rhyme or reason or order. So Twin Peaks was this procedural drama about a young cheerleader who dies. I'm not giving anything away because it's a very opening scene.
Yeah, that's right at the beginning. Yeah,
her body is found washed up on the coastline of Washington, and it takes place in the Pacific Northwest. It has a very, very Pacific Northwest vibe to it. If you love jazz, if you have a feel for the surreal or transcendental meditation or anything like that, like Twin Peaks operates on so many different levels. You're going to go in thinking that you're going to watch like this procedural drama, and it ends up almost being anything but. And like to what Kyle MacLachlan's actually saying, that's because of the genius that is David Lynch that's helming the story. However, there was a little bit of a rough patch during season 2 when, of all people, I believe it was Bob Oger or Eisner, it was one of the Disney bosses, basically was trying to say, well, we just need to solve the mystery and we just need to get to the end and get on to the next thing, right? And David Lynch, he's a true blue artist. So he was like very ambivalent towards that. And he just kind of like walked away from the show for a minute. And they had, correctly, Penny Marshall came in to do some of the directing. And you can see what a show without David Lynch at the helm called Twin Peaks looks like already. And so that's why I agree with everything Kyle MacLachlan is saying right here, because there's a few episodes in season 2 that are just kind of like, okay, that's zany, that's kooky, but it's not what David Lynch is actually going for. Like, there's just kind of some stuff where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this because it'll be weird. And it's like, that's not what David Lynch is doing. Like, a lot of his stuff is working on various levels of reality and kind of like speaking to the multifaceted state of things, and just a whole bunch is going on. And it's not just for the point of being zany and weird. And that's why it works well, because he's actually a master who's crafting an elaborate, sophisticated, nuanced tale that has all these various layers like an onion, and you'll be crying the more you dig into it. But like if somebody just sits here and says, hey, I'm gonna take this thing, I'm gonna make it zany because it's zany and it's weird,
OMG, so random.
Like people turning into wood, or like, which happened in season 2, which is probably the weirdest thing in all of Twin Peaks history that ever happened, was that thing. And it's just kind of like glossed over.
Well, it was like someone else had to do a job that David Lynch didn't want to do, but that person, and I don't even think it's like, I don't think it was even intentional. I think they were basically thrown into a position where they had to do something, and they don't know themselves where the story is going. They don't know like what is really going on, because it's a really weird show. I mean, I would watch it. I will say that, like you said, I like the show. It's delightfully strange. I still don't understand it, but it's okay. Like, I don't have to. Like, I'm sure if I really wanted to take the time and dig deep, I could figure it out. But I'm perfectly fine with it.
Magic. That's the serendipity. Yeah. It really is. Like, you can dig into it, and the more you dig into it, the more that you kind of like learn about the state of reality, and like how Twin Peaks is more of kind of like a model or a tool to kind of like help you with your own space in here and now. And you know, and so like, yeah, it operates on so many strange levels that if you just watch it as just a show, though, it is a good show. But yeah, like, yeah, and it can be, you know, it's really one of those things where it's whatever you take away from it, because whatever you walk into it with is going to be what's playing around in that atmosphere and getting affected. So, yeah, Twin Peaks is transcendent, to, you know, like in the most simple word that I could say. It is, it's
everything. Also, I will say too, if you want to watch it, but maybe you're a little intimidated by the strangeness, it's layered. There's like levels of story that you can really get into. And last thing I'll say about the show, and I know this is going to sound, no, I'm just going to say it. It's got some of the most beautiful women of any show. Like the chicks in most that definitely are super hot, and you're like, why aren't they doing other things? Like there are very attractive women on that show that did, as far as I know, they didn't go on to do, like, they didn't become big in Hollywood. I think they were always sort of like on the outside for whatever reason. So, and they have this, they're like this classy Hollywood thing, you know, so very like kind of classy women. One of them is Joan Chen. I know her. And she was in some other stuff, but again, underutilized for most of the career. You know, like most Asian actors, they're often underutilized. Hollywood just doesn't know what to do with them. I don't know. But anyway, that's it about that. That he hopes there won't be and this is a good thing because you have people speaking out. I mean, maybe it's just like, well, if it's going to exist, I want to be in it. But I think it's more like there's no way that anybody in modern Hollywood could possibly, you know, do something that sort of complex and deep. I mean, like, they can't even do simple. Well, I wouldn't say it's simple, but they can't even do Star Trek right. So how could they do that, you know? So anyway, let us know what you guys think about that.
I want David Lynch to live forever, but when the day does come that he's not with us in this mortal coil, they should just take everything and just make a museum, just leave it there. Like, say you want to see it, there it is. It exists in DVD. It's all the stuff, you know, just because nobody else. It'd be like trying to tell somebody, hey, you want to go paint Picasso's painting? You want to do Rembrandt?
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, because he's an artist. He's not. It's not just a show. Like, he actually is like the medium is a show, but the art is everywhere. You know, like, have a conversation with David Lynch, just watch him go. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going on tangent. We can't.
All right, well, let's move on to the next topic, because we got a lot to get through, and there's I have some more sort of like good news towards the end, but I want to get through some of this. Like, you have to walk through the poison swamp before you can get to the. Well, anyway, it's a Souls thing. You wouldn't understand. All right,
that's right.
So next up, we got Alyssa Mercante is back in the news, which is kind of her favorite place to be, and she has physically. Yeah, she wants to fight you physically, bitch. And she is she's threatening Kiwi Farms with litigation. Now, I'm not an internet old head like that, but like, what do you guys think? Is this a good idea?
Considering that it's going to go to Discovery, I think that's probably the last thing that she would actually want if she really was paying attention to what she was suggesting. Like this is scare tactics. I've watched a few things yesterday. The lawyer that she's got seems to be not really a lawyer. Like, he's like legal counsel, might not actually be like fully like it's the more you dig into it, the weirder it gets. It's strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. Yeah. And she is very ill-equipped for the situation she's gunned up for.
Yeah, again, she's got like the whole document. I don't want to like go too in depth on this, but she is doing what a lot of these people do. They get litigious, and because it's always about like, how do I assert my moral dominance over you? And one of the first thing they do is they say, well, they appeal to they appeal to popular. Well, no, they appeal to what's popular. So they say, well, this thing is liked by more people, therefore you're wrong. And if that doesn't work, then they appeal to authority. Well, these experts, these professionals, these critics have said this is a good thing or this is a bad thing, so therefore I'm right. And if that doesn't work, then they start like essentially throwing around lawsuits. And if they win in a case, then they get to, again, that becomes another authority that they can appeal to. So she's basically not ready to accept the fact that she's in a position that is in fact the minority. And that's shown by like the direction of sales for some of these like more overtly woke titles, and sometimes they don't fail because of the woke content or because of the messaging, but that is a part of the problem, and we can like get into that more later. But so the letter says, we are writing you concerning your client Joshua Moon and his website Kiwi Farms. There is currently a thread on Kiwi Farms in the non-public Prospering Grounds section of the forum hosting a full docs of our client Alyssa Mercante. As you may otherwise not be aware, Alyssa has hired us to pursue remedies both in and out of court against people who are serially stalking and harassing her online. He continued, Joshua Moon and Kiwi Farms are not among those people who we are pursuing, but we came across this thread on our research. But for the fact that it hosts a docs, the thread would be otherwise innocuous, annoying, and upsetting in tone, but well within the bounds of the law. However, by posting the docs, Kiwi Farms provides an avenue for bad actors to get within the shield of Alyssa's privacy and turn being mean online into genuine threats to her privacy and person. That we cannot permit. Now,
lawfare.
Huh?
Sorry, I say it sounds like they're doing some lawfare. This is,
yes.
Like we're gonna weaponize the law against you.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. I don't know if this is a dox. Like, I haven't seen evidence that there's a dox that happened. I think she's claiming one. They're probably, I don't really know because I don't know anything about Kiwi Farms. Do they have a history of doing this? Does anyone know? In the chat, let me know. I'm not.
I can't say.
I'm not for that at all. But considering how frequently these people lie, I have my doubts. I'm pressing X to doubt that this has actually happened. If you doubt this, then you guys can press X in the chat. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, if they have a history of doing it,
she has a history of doing it just in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
I mean, she docs that dude.
Smash JT. Well, I don't know if it's that she. Yeah, she contacted Smash JT's wife.
Oh, his wife. That's right. Yes.
That's right. And said, "Oh, do you know what your husband's doing online?" And I think that she may have I guess exposed Grum's face or something. I mean, his face is out there, but I mean, she's certainly engaged in this stuff. These people always, what do you call it? Project.
Dish out what they can't take. Yeah.
Well, they do the thing that they're telling you that you're doing. They do the thing. It's the iron law of woke projection.
Cry bullies. I'm going to do everything I can up until the point that you actually kind of, respond or react or, retaliate in kind and meet me where I'm at and speak my language. And then all of a sudden they're just like, I can't understand how this happened. Like, well, you kind of made an ass of yourself, made some large declarative, statements that your ass is not going to be able to back up, and reality is setting in. Like, this is why we have, the wonderful phrase in 2024, fuck around and find out.
There is a bit of
like this.
Yeah, there is a bit of a mafia thing going on in the language. Let me read another bit from there. So they say, Haywood then reiterated, so Haywood is the lawyer, supposedly the lawyer, to repeat, Mr. Moon being the guy who runs Kiwi Farms, to repeat, Mr. Moon is not currently in our crosshairs, and if this thread removes the docs and never leaves the non-public portion of Kiwi Farms' forums, then there will be no reason for us to give Mr. Moon the time of day. Our concern is not with policing the internet activity of a single person or even a whole forum, but in protecting the security and rights of our clients. The less Kiwi Farms puts our clients in danger or permitting others to utilize information provided by Kiwi Farms to continue campaigns of harassment, stalking, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, the less we will have to get involved in Joshua Moon's business. It'd be a real shame if we had to come back here. It's basically that. It's like a mafia style shakedown with threats of legal action. But the fact that they have to frame it this way, where it's like, well, you know, you're not in trouble yet, that tells me they don't really have a case and they're just trying to scare him into compliance. And I hope that he doesn't. I mean, unless, again, if it's a dox, show me the receipts. But I don't see anything. So, all right. Do you have anything else to add?
I mean, she's just a cam girl on her way to OnlyFans obscurity. This is just another step on the, you know, like on the descending stairwell into nothingness that is, you know, Alyssa Mercante's pronounced Mercante. Like, yeah, this is what she does. This is where she's going. It's a slow motion car wreck, and like it's gonna be what everybody knows it's gonna be.
Yeah,
and we're all just kind of tired of it, quite honestly. But this is the only thing that she can do to try to cling to relevance. And you know, she's just she's a female lolcow.
Oh, honestly. For sure. I thought it was worth mentioning. I mean, another thing, like as somebody who's been doing this a long time, there are people like Alyssa Mercante, which we know we can look at past versions, Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, Anita Sarkeesian, that they just want to maintain their position in the spotlight, right? They don't want us to forget about them. They do this for attention. They do this to remain relevant, and they probably profit in a lot of ways. I mean, she's created for this lawsuit, which again I'm putting in quotes. She's created a GoFundMe, and she's probably going to get a lot of money from her simps. And so like this is how she benefits. But ultimately, my point in bringing this up is specifically to point at the lawfare that's going on, because it doesn't have to come from Alyssa Mercante. At some point, someone way more credible, or at least like, you know, more powerful, could do the same thing. And then we have to be able to see it before it's coming. So this is more of a I guess, teachable moment, so that we understand that these are the lengths these people are willing to go. And that is to bring us, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, to the fact that these people, they're not crazy. I know that like a lot of people like to say, oh my God, these commies, these feminists, these Marxists, whatever, they're crazy. These woke people are crazy. They're not crazy. They're being rational from their perspective. And I'll get into it later. But yeah, Alyssa's doing what she does it. She's being rational, and the people around her are also rationalizing this. It doesn't mean it's right, but I'm saying it's not like completely irrational, crazy behavior. Okay. So anyway, we're going to get into the next thing. So I want to talk about stuff dealing with Dustborn, because there's a lot going on with that.
Right.
So, and
for as like insignificant as it was when we first mentioned it, like I mean, in many ways, it feels like we kind of broke the story of everybody telling them, hey, get ready, because next week it's gonna pop off, and that is exactly what has happened. Like everybody's just like the last few days, you just see more and more articles about it, more and more people just covering it, because this thing is everything we were talking about. You know, this is the woke playbook and agenda just ripped wide open for everyone to see, and they're just like shouting from the rafters, basically, like all the cringe that they do, and it's like, it's like, you know, like when Az watched Barbie and he said, I think it's secretly based. I almost kind of think that about this in a way. It's like, do they realize like what they've done is actually kind of like completely undermined their own agenda? Because
I don't think the Barbie movie is secretly based. I think the people who made it are no, I'm just pointing out that if you think that, you don't understand, because you're applying your logic and your framework to like your analysis of the Barbie movie. And what I'm saying is, I think the Barbie movie is evil. That's what I think.
I haven't even watched it. I'm talking about like this is something other people have said.
I know. I agree with you. I'm just pointing out because I mean it's not surprising that ads would say that. But this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to bring to the table is that a lot of the biggest voices and I like these people. So this is not an attack at all. Okay, I like these people a lot. I watch their content. Heels versus Babyface, Young Ripa, John Delarose, the Nerdrotic, like all these guys are doing great work.
They tend to minimize.
Sometimes I think they it's like they don't see when they're speaking about something in popular culture from the perspective of someone who has like a deep understanding and a deep love for popular culture, but you're not looking at like the broader picture of other sort of social, cultural, and political forces trying to like change the culture that you love, and you're not identifying where it comes from and why it exists and what the history of it is and what it really is, then you end up in this situation where you're operating within the framework that they have created in order to try to discredit them, and it works only in the short term. You might win a few battles, but you will lose the war. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people see what the battlefield really looks like and what you're really up against, right? So
and I mean that's why I was saying it's minimized though, is just because it's looking at it just from just that pop culture aspect of like, oh, this is just a stupid movie from a stupid Hollywood studio system, and it's just like it's very reductive in terms of all the stuff that feeds in. Like a lot of people when they look at these issues, they act like they're looking at the engine of the train, and it's like, no dude, that's the caboose. Like the thing that like was leading that is already out of view, and you always just kind of see the trailing edge of it, because that's the part of reality that these things show up in is after they've already done all the footwork.
Yeah, a lot of these people are on the train and they're criticizing one of the cars of the train or the drapes or something, right? So yeah, that's kind of what my goal is to like try to like to separate this from most of the other content. Again, I like the other content. I think it's important. I think it's helpful, but I want to be the bridge between like that, like why are aesthetics so demonized? Why is everything so ugly? This is not just like video games or books or movies. It's like our world is becoming uglier, and it's happening slowly, so people don't see it, and when they do, they don't know how to express what it is they're feeling about that, right? So anyway, I'm getting like off the rails here, and I'm not. I may sound like more upset than I actually am. I'm chill, but I just want to point out that the Barbie movie is a really good example of what I'm talking about. But let's look at this. So, Dustborn, some people, and I don't know why they did, but some people played the game so they could show, like how bad it is, right? Or at least share screenshots. Maybe they watched. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is a benefit to some people who are on our side that want to like consume the content so they can tell people what about it, and I think that's not bad. But
it's like the Acolyte, but for this was like the Acolyte, but for video games. But although I will say with the Acolyte, I actually had a good laugh. Like the cringe in this is just kind of like you can't even laugh at it. It's just like oh no. You just got off the short bus and you don't even realize. It's like you almost feel like that's what I mean by it. Like when I said, like you'd almost think it's secretly based, but no, these people are just that oblivious that they really think that everybody's breathing the same, air that they breathe, which is just their canned farts that they sit in because they think that it smells like roses when it's anything but.
I'll get to that in a second. Mr. Cornell asked, do you guys watch Tick History? I watched him for like years. Yeah. I like his content because it's courageous. That's what I ultimately think about it. Although I don't entirely agree with his Randian views. I used to think of that as kind of base, right? But I've kind of moved away from that. But anyway, that's another conversation. So, okay, we already know about Dustborn. We've covered it a few times in terms of like what the premise is and how it's essentially one of, if not the wokest game ever made. And it's not popular. It's not doing well. There's like 60 people. I'll do a check like later on to see like where the player numbers are at. But
yeah, actually, we can do a woke up in between that and Concord and see who's actually golf scores. Who's got
winning.
the lowest numbers today? Yeah,
yeah, but no, I think Concord's doing better, but not because it's actually like a game. But anyway, so like this. So one of the things that you learn about when you're playing, when you look at the Dustborn trailers and stuff, is that you use the power of words in the game. It's like the mechanic is your words, and you play a character whose words can actually affect people. So it's actually like words affecting the real world. Now, for how long have we heard from these people that words are violence? This is important because this is where the rubber meets the road. Like you're seeing them tell you words are violence, and then they make a game where words can actually be violence, and you can use them to control people's actions, to, you know, change their perceptions. It's essentially a physical manifestation of your thoughts affecting other people, which, by the way,
this is energy reinforcement.
Number one, it's a Gnostic idea. Secondly, it is a kind of like, I am God, and therefore I can do whatever, and you have to do as I say. So there is something really evil about that, and I could get into that later. But here's some of the things that people have brought up. Oh, go ahead. What are you gonna say, John?
Oh, I was gonna say, if you are so inclined, such as I am, you can actually read it as it's dark magic, and this is an enchantment spell to reinforce the energetic state by going and making a physical Horcrux or a totem to, you know, have the energy kind of be imbued and magnified by. And that's what they do. Like, that's why a lot of media kind of sucks, in my opinion and perspective. Because they're literally trying to put dark juju into it.
Yeah. The dog, somebody asked about the dog. He's my dog. He's my dog. His name is Jojo, and he's a big old hound. So anyway, so here are the words, at least in the examples, people shared some screenshots. And this guy named Skooma said, I can't believe this game is real and not a parody from 4chan. And again, I'll get to that in a second, but then we got another, the bully. Okay, I should read what it says. So bully, these are like the things you can choose to do. We've learned to bully people. Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do, or to make them feel bad about themselves. In fights, this could be highly effective on targeted enemies. So, like literally saying, yes, we can be bullies. It's okay when we do it. Then we got normalized. Now this is
which
like,
you could consider that's the pronoun play. You know, that's their bullying.
Oh yeah, for sure. When they say you have to use my pronouns, and that's the thing too, is when in Canada, okay, and it's gonna seem like unrelated, but it totally is. In Canada, Bill C-16, which came out years ago, was supposed to add, I think, like pronouns and LGBTQ identity to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada, which ultimately means, because it doesn't sound like much on on this face, that it is illegal to not use someone's preferred pronouns when you're speaking to them. Now, when this was tabled, a lot of people, Jordan Peterson was one of them, somebody I knew, a trans woman named Theron Meyer was another one. They were basically saying, do not do this. This is terrible. You're essentially, it's not just like censorship, it's forced speech. It's saying that you have to use these words, right? And all of the trans activists and gay race communists, they assured them, no, we won't use it for that. It's just recognizing us as human. It's just, seeing us for what we are or whatever. And as soon as it went through, they start, which it is. And as soon as it got put through, people started saying, okay, you have to use our pronouns now. It's the law. So what does it mean when
Right.
something is the law? What it means is that they get to use the force of the state against you if you don't follow the law, which is essentially sending a guy with a gun to your house. So like, this is how bad it is, and how easy it is to slip into that. I mean, that's like super authoritarian, right? So
and this is the next step right here that we're on, and that's why I've kind of placed them out the way that I did, because I do feel that they bully first, they normalize second, and then they cancel, you know, as the third step. But
yeah. So normalize. This is also, you know, this is some Yuri Bezmenov shit. If you guys know who Yuri Bezmenov is, if you don't know, look it up. Look up Yuri Bezmenov, Ideological Subversion. It's an old interview from the 1980s. It's totally worth it, 100%. But anyway, the situation has been normalized. Okay, so normalize is we've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives us the ability to make people think certain behaviors or feelings are normal. But I'm not sure it will do much for us in a fight. Well, once you're at the stage where you're normalizing, there's no need, because, and we've already as a society, a lot of things have already been normalized for us. I mean, like, consider, like, you know, just like, I don't know, Pride Month, for example, or riots, or let me put it another way. Not that long ago, somebody tried to kill a man that was running for president, and we're already like, except for a few, most of us have already kind of forgotten. We're just moved on. Like, that wasn't a big deal. And, you know, this is what I mean. This is normalization, right? When you know, right now, I think in Minneapolis, after the Summer of Love, that it's never going to recover. Like, the riots have destroyed the city. And what I mean is, I don't mean literally every building has been razed to the ground. Obviously, people still live there. But the point is, it'll never recover from the damage.
Right.
Like, it won't. And I said this when these started. I said, these places are not going to recover. It'll never be the same, because people have normalized it. Like, well, it's just like the voices of the unheard. Oh, well, it's just like, you know, they're just mad, bro. Like, why don't we just give them reparations and fix it? It's like, that's not going to solve the problem, because this is not a rational set of beliefs.
Right.
I mean, it is, but it's not in line with us.
Right. If I could kind of bring it down to, you know, just kind of the human level in terms of what it is, like, because what you're saying, you know, in relationships, certain things can happen that are just unforgivable, you know, and this is ostensibly, you know, somebody going out of their way to actively cheat on you in front of you and kind of like, you know, grandstand about doing it, and then, you know, gaslight you, trying to make you believe that it was your reason that they had to go and do this because you're the one who ruined it, you know, like, and that is because right now I'm kind of like, I'm thinking about my former marriage, you know, because like that was the thing with my ex-wife, is her infidelity was so, you know, out there that it just got to the point where it was like, I don't even want to talk to you, let alone like, you know, have any kind of like actual like physical relationship or anything like that. And like, and even through all of that, like at the end of it all, when we're going our separate ways, and I'm like actually saying, look, we're not in the same situation anymore. You cannot treat me the same way, because the way you treated me is the reason why we're not going to be involved going forward. And she went right back into the exact same shit, where she just tried to act like she was my mom. And that was the last time I spoke to the woman. That was, I think, nearly 15 years ago now, you know, because it's just, you know, it's these people, they are unable to change. And, you know, like, and even your willingness to actually try to give them an out to, you know, have a moment of pause and, you know, just kind of consideration and collect themselves and kind of like reset. That's never gonna happen. And that's why you just kind of have to just leave it and walk away and just focus on your own path.
Yeah, it's really hard to like turn the corner on that. All right, well, and then the last step, I want to get to the last step, is cancel.
Yeah.
So this is like one of the other abilities, and it says you've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots. In battle, this could be a useful tool against enemies. So if you ignore like the game mechanical part of it and just look at what we're actually talking about. Essentially, this is like social ostracization, which happens today. It happens today all the time. And these people, so I want to use this to talk a little bit about what I think, why I think this is just can only be described as evil. Okay. So first of all, it's important for us to understand that wokies are not crazy, at least like in terms of their sets of ideas. There may be some people that are in those movements that are, you know, disturbed in some way. They probably have trauma in their past or something like that. And I say this with all sympathy, but this decision to tear everything down is not irrational. It is intentional. And this is the thing that a lot of people miss. They keep saying, oh, these people are crazy. No, this is evil on purpose. And I will explain. So like I made a video about the Acolyte. I think it was like when I didn't, obviously I didn't watch it, but like episode 3 came out and we learned about the thing that I suspected, which is, you know, the twins were born of the Force to, you know, to two lesbian space witches. Okay. And I looked at all of that and I was like, okay, so they're taking the virgin birth and they're perverting it and making it a feminist thing, which by the way, this is what they always do. So like, this is why these people are not atheists. Okay. These people are not atheists because if they were atheists, they wouldn't bother attacking like, you know, the scripture, right? They wouldn't bother trying to invert anything. They would just not care. Like I'm sure that there are plenty of atheists out there that just
they're
don't
subconscious
care.
Satanists.
Right. But these people
they might not even be aware.
No, these people think that they are aware because there is a lot of how do I put it? There's a lot of occultism in communism. Like
what I mean by they might not be aware is they don't believe in anything.
No, I know. Yeah,
right.
But that's
so that's their past is like this. Like, oh, I'm saying this to piss off the Christians and this and that, and it doesn't mean anything to me because it's just words. But it's like, yeah, but have you ever considered that maybe you are?
Well, that's what
possessed?
That's what makes it evil. Like some people say, well, Lat says, I think they attack it because its values held by the people they hate. Yeah, but they hate the values. That's why they hate the people. And so what they do is they just all they can do. And this is like quoted from Tolkien, right? He said, evil can never create. It can only corrupt that which has been made, you know, by the good. So essentially they don't know how to think in any other paradigm except reverse what already exists, reverse the established, what they perceive as the hegemonic established culture. And that is our way of attacking it. Okay. So Mr. Cornell says, preach, amen. Thank you. So this is on purpose. Okay. And I will demonstrate. Okay. So Karl Marx, who's like the dirty, filthy, never bathing, nasty, like pus inflicted communist, like godfather, I guess. I don't know if you guys knew this, but before he wrote about economics, and I'm putting that in quotes, like gigantic quotes, before he wrote about economics, he was a poet and he was an artist essentially. So much like other artists who were, you know, shit at their job, he wasn't a good poet either. So he became resentful and he wanted to like say, well, look, it's not that I suck at everything, which I do. I mean, he sucked so much that he basically stole most of Engels' work so that he could write his shit, but it's everybody else's fault. And I'm going to prove it. And there is a favorite quote from Karl Marx. I don't know if you guys know this, but this kind of like, I'm going to use this to support my case. He had a favorite quote from, what is it? The Divine Comedy. Okay. And I want to see if I can find it here, where he basically it's a quote from Mephistopheles, where he says that he will raise everything to the ground, like destroy everything. I gotta find the quote here. Hold on a second. I thought that this article had it, but what is Mephistopheles? Okay. Let me see more items. There's a dear friend. No, that's not it. Essentially, what he says, in the Divine Comedy, which is Dante's Inferno. I think it's Dante's Inferno. Mephistopheles has, or Faust. I think it's Faust I'm thinking about. It's one of those. And he says essentially that all things must burn down. Like, he wants to destroy everything, right? Everything that exists deserves to perish. Everything that exists deserves to perish. And ultimately, that is Marxism. That is these gay race communists. And why is that? Because they believe that the only way that their way of living can have a chance is if the old way is destroyed. And you can look at what Mao did in China and all of these other communist leaders. Like when Lenin came to power, he was also like an occultist, by the way. And he thought of the idea of what he wanted to bring about, the Russian Revolution or the Bolshevik Revolution, as a form of magic. That's what he was imposing. He basically had the czars killed and everything else. They basically destroyed everything. And one of the first things that came after was the church. And this is actually, it's funny. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but it's funny because I think Vladimir Putin wants to restore the church, but for some reason, Zelensky is hell-bent on banning it. And I don't like Zelensky, and I don't really have an opinion on Putin, but I feel like I'm being lied to about him. And I don't know if anyone's going to arrive at something about this at some point. But what I'm saying is that these people want to destroy everything. So when they enter a company, when they start creating content and it's awful, it's on purpose. They're trying to tear it down. They're trying to remove all meaning from it. And they're trying to demoralize you, the consumer, for being a part of it, so that when you get like Star Wars Theory and he's like crying on a stream because he doesn't understand what happened to Star Wars, he has to understand that the communists are destroying it on purpose. They don't care if it makes money. They don't care if it's profitable. They want it all gone because the stories that we grew up with are kind of like where we find our grounding from. It's how we know we're like, aimed in the proper direction.
Which is I was gonna say it's the one other attack that we don't actually have the clip box for, but it is gaslighting, ostensibly the gaslight lampshade, the whole kind of like turning it around and putting it on the people that they victimized is like, well, we had to do this because you victimized us. And it's like, no, I think that you just kind of got like, really up into your, egotistical whatever. And now you're just kind of like, just putting out that wave of energy in every direction. And as we've said multiple times on many shows, these people can't see past the haze of their own projections because it's just on everyone and everything. So, I myself this last week, just a couple days ago, because one of their biggest forms of gaslighting is my civility. My civility. Why you gotta be polite? I don't have to be polite for shit. Especially when I'm gonna sit here and break down like this lie that you just politely put out there, thinking that your kind language is gonna somehow make people just forget that history is history. And it was this whole, someone had put up some stupid meme thing about the benefit of women in power and how we'll be so much better when women are in power because the world will see less war. And I said to this, I was like, all right, well, this is some bullshit right here, because all you have to do is look back through history and just about every single woman who's been in power has started a war. And it's and it's for their own reasons. And what I'm actually saying is women are equal, and they get pissed off because I just said women are equal to men in their shittiness. And so it just turns in this whole thing. And I'm just basically I just responded to one person, just said, look, I understand that you're mad at me because you think that I'm the bad man, but everything that you just did, all I did was go and say that you already have equality. And that's the thing, is I'm the person in this argument that you people are all sitting here like, oh, we're the ones with moral majority. And I'm the one just arguing for equality and freedom and actual, we all have to be accountable for our own shit. And so who are the ones that are actually being sexist here? Oh, it's all of you who are blowing smoke up your own asses, trying to just get high in your own ideas, thinking that you're somehow better than everybody because you frame it in civility. I care. I'm not going to call you a thing. And it's like, sometimes I'll just come right out and be like, look here, fucktard. I don't have time to mince words or sugarcoat any of this shit because you're not going to even listen to me to begin with. So I just have to do a thing. And I know that that's kind of you get into that point where it's like, all right, well, are we adding to the distraction? Or are we actually kind of adding to the discourse? And some of the stuff, the discourse will happen, maybe, but as we've been talking about, we are at the point now where it really is just kind of one of those things where it's like, they're not going to shift. They're not going to change. A lot of them, and maybe a small percentage, because I myself would say that I'm the weird type who actually saw himself through his bout of TDS and, just wokeness and kind of being saturated in civility and all that stuff. I mean, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest for a decade. I don't try to pretend to anybody that, I wasn't affected by these things. And that's why I talk about the energetic state. And even if you don't think that these things have an effect on you, they do, subconsciously, just, it's that whole thing about normalizing stuff. And you just try to be, as chill as you can in your state of being. And if you live in a really woke ass part of the country, you kind of end up being a little woke at times. And, and there's nothing you can even really do about it. It's weird, but that's kind of it's kind of trying to say, where is the piss not in the pool? Well, once you piss in the pool, it's everywhere. Yeah. So it's something that and that's one of those things. It's that's why I take the time to every couple of weeks I just kind of I'll kind of do a little bit of self-meditation and kind of where am I at, what am I focusing on, how's all this stuff working, am I still actually being as objective in this as I can be, or am I allowing myself to just kind of get swept up in whatever? And I mean, it's a difficult balance for anyone, but the woke, the tribe of the woke, they're so far off, reservation at this point in time, out in the wild of what they're doing, that the idea that they're ever going to find their way home base again to kind of collect themselves, I don't it's not there.
Yeah, for sure. So on the Acolyte video, I used the word, I think it was either demonic or satanic, to describe what these people were doing and what their beliefs are. And some people in the comments, they spurred out at me because they thought I was using I don't know, wooey language to describe something. And the reason why I'm not that was a long time ago, but I do want to address that when something is, look, the reality is there is reality. And people, if they're not operating within the frame that they understand that reality exists and that there are certain things that are completely out of your control, then reality is going to slap them in the face. And we see it with people who think, oh, I'm the opposite gender and my mom supports me and my teachers support me and I'm going to cut my tits off. And then you think that just because you have all this affirmation that you can make things the way that they are for you, but then later you're going to be like, oh, I'm depressed and suicidal and I feel awful. Yeah, because reality is hitting you in the face. And so when you're not operating within the framework of reality that exists, unfortunately, that is literally the description of unholy. It doesn't mean just stop thinking about Sky Daddy stuff. Stop thinking about Jesus Christ. I'm not preaching at you guys. I'm saying that the world is organized a certain way. That is where the root of holy comes from. And when you are not set up that way, when you're inverting it, that is unholy. That is not in accordance with the natural order. You could call it natural order instead if you like. And so these people, they are in fact intentionally being unholy. They are intentionally trying to destroy everything, and we have to call it what it is, which is evil. You could say satanic. I don't have a problem with that, and it's true. Like, I mean, they're and they know it. Like, this isn't something they shy away from. How many pictures of drag queens reading to children have them dressed up as literal demons, like with horns and everything? Like, and they think that what they're doing is they're owning the chuds, but they're just exposing what they are. Like, they're leaning into it on purpose.
And when you say unholy, you know, just to make this a little bit more relatable to people in outside of religious coding of the word, like I worked, you know, when I worked at the doctor's office, I did holistic healthcare, right? And so what that means is the person in the whole. And so like that is holiness. It's not just where you're standing and why you're doing it. It's where your heart's at, where your head's at, where, like, you know, your sensibilities lie. It's like that conversation we had a couple weeks ago about, like, me when I was saying, look, I understand that you want to talk about greed being like this good thing, but greed is actually an aberration of prosperity. Prosperity makes all the sense in the world. You do something, you should be rewarded for it. You build things up, they grow over time, they get stronger. That makes sense. Greed, on the other hand, is kind of a perversion of that. And, you know, and because it doesn't think about the actual responsibility of what all this stuff is. And that's what
it's a deadly sin.
Right. And that's why greed is unholy, whereas prosperity is holy. And so that's hopefully that will help people kind of understand a little bit more that this isn't necessarily scripture and verse stuff. This is just kind of like there are aspects of your life that go beyond the physical. And, you know, there's a symbiotic nature to who we are. We don't spend all of our time in thought. We don't spend all of our time in motion. We don't, you know, like there's this balance that we have as a multifaceted creature that has blood, that breathes air, that has a magnetic force, all this kind of stuff. And most people are just like, yeah, dude, my name's Tom and I don't, whatever, you know, like, I don't want to think about any of that shit. And it's like, all right, well, I guess you don't have to. Like, I'm not your anything, you know, but there are these elements of our life that kind of get glossed over in the modern day and kind of seen as kind of like this thing that just is, you know, anachronistic or, you know, just something from like a bygone era that doesn't really exist anymore. And people were so silly when they thought that. And it's like, no, I still have like an animal nature. Like I'm very much a natural being, and I'm not just the screen and the live service models that I pay for and all the stupid kind of, you know, materialistic shit that we trap ourselves in to try to like take on these personalities and these characteristics of an identity. In that sense, you know, we are here for legitimate reasons, and that is the experience of life in and of itself, and that has honestly nothing to do with things like Dustborn or, you know, like the most latest movie or this, that. These are just things that we pay attention to as we're going through the larger experience of our life, which kind of plays to the whole thing about Twin Peaks, which is very kind of lucky that we got that start the show today, because you have these overarching things, and then you just have the thing that's happening right now. And if you get caught in the thing that's happening right now, you may not ever actually appreciate the overarching story. But if you only look at the overarching story, you might completely gloss over what's happening right here and now. And so like that's the whole thing about you. There has to be, you know, some, you know, just symbiotic balancing in your life to where you do a little bit of the work, and sometimes you just kind of let the, you know, moment happen, and then you learn from the moment, and vice versa. So.
Yeah. Well, so I just wanted to get off my chest. I think that we should stop calling them insane, and we should start seeing them for what they are, and that's evil, or at least that they're doing evil. Because I think anybody can like find their way to, you know, like our side. Like if they sometimes, because I used to be, you know, I was like, we both were on the left at one point or whatever, and believed some of these things, and I've moved away from it. And sometimes you do it rationally, you do it out of curiosity, you know, you are like, you have to be like a child to find your way to the truth with like the same kind of humility and curiosity. But sometimes it just takes suffering. And I don't want people to suffer, but it's like if you go against reality, you're going to suffer. If you think you can eat like as many cupcakes as you want, you're going to suffer, right? If you think you can just run around on a freeway, you're gonna suffer because reality is gonna hit you in the face. So yeah, that's the thing that we have to understand. I'm all about trying to get people to like stop using words that these people have created, stop operating within their framework because we're all captured. Yeah, it's their paradigm and we're just living in it. So we can change that. But anyway, I want to get to some more news about Dustborn. So let's move on to the next thing. So apparently they've been stealing game assets, or they stole game assets for this game. Did you know that?
Well, it's method. It's method because the story's like they're criminals in the story. So they had to.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they're being method. Yeah. Well, I mean, but in the story, they're criminals that are misunderstood because actually they're refugees, and I forget how the song goes, but yeah.
Right. Maybe they were liberating the assets from the evil Rockstar Corporation.
Yeah. Well, assets is property, and property is a form of capital, and it should be redistributed. Right. So there you go.
That's right.
But yeah, apparently
being unburdened by what has done.
Yes, apparently I can play a little bit of this video. No, it's okay.
I swear these developers.
Not too long. Okay, no, this is a Smash JT video. It'll go on for too long. But Savvy here, I can just open up this. Savvy has some screenshots that we can look at. And shout out to Savvy. She was a guest on my show before. But yeah, here's one of the designers quote tweeting someone calling them out for copying the GTA apartment interior to a near exact T. And let me go back up so you guys can see it. So I think they have some pictures in the article here. Yeah,
it
like
almost
right here.
Looks like all they did was change the UV maps, like the art, like the geometry looks almost identical.
No, it's basically the same. The only thing they changed was essentially they made it uglier, and they reduced the texture quality and stuff, and they put their gay characters in it, and and the lighting isn't the same. Like you can see like the blinders, like Rockstar is a lot of things, but
a little bit of Twin Peaks on the screen.
In the attention to detail department is not one of them. What do you mean? Where?
Do you see the chevron pattern underneath the red chairs?
Right here. Yeah.
It's Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks. Sorry.
Well, that's a GTA was smart enough to put that in there.
I see it everywhere I go, man.
Yeah. So essentially, they stole assets, and apparently this is the person. So the Blurg, Thea Berg is the developer that stole the assets. So, and I think that this is the Steam charts, which we know are bad, but I'll look at those later. The Thea Berg says Grum's preferred method of finding funding is e-begging, by the way. So she doesn't like him for whatever reason. I mean, I think I know why. So yeah, they've been stealing assets. I am shocked. I'm not that shocked. So
yeah,
you were gobsmacked. I'm not surprised. Remember, I already said this before. Karl Marx was a lazy bastard who didn't even bathe and thought he could write about what he deserved. And these people follow him. And mostly what drives them is resentment. And a lot of them are, in fact, living pretty privileged lives if they were able to take a step outside of their own solipsistic attitude about themselves and look at what they have. But they're incapable of doing that because that requires humility, which is one of the things that we all lack these days.
I honestly think a lot of these people would do well to spend about 2 months in jail. Just enough to kind of put it into your field that not everyone
a day would do it.
Is going to operate on your same rule. But it's just one of those things where I don't care what your rule book set it is. I've got my own rule set. And if I think that everybody in the world's going to play by my rules, well, I'm setting myself up for failure, and that's kind of the benefit of kind of getting smacked in the face. I always find it funny that people have never been in a fight try to give you advice on how to avoid them. You know, it's like, or what to do. Like, you know, like if the point actually comes where you're in an altercation, it's like, you don't know anything about any of this. So why are you even trying to offer an opinion when all you should be trying to do is keep your head down so that you don't ever actually encounter this thing that you're afraid to actually encounter, that you're talking big about, that you know, are completely out of your depth on. And so that's like I say, I think, and that's not to say that I think that we should just go locking people up randomly or anything like that. I'm just saying that, you know, if you happen upon a situation in your life that's out of your control and you actually have to deal with the existential crisis of, oh, I can't have my way. So because I can't have my way, what do I actually have control over? Which is your thoughts, your emotions, you know, your goals, your plans, like all that. That's the stuff that you have some control over. And even that can be affected by external factors and existential crisis, you know, kind of coming in and out of it. But the thing that you can do more so than anything is forethought and, you know, to some degree, forgiveness in the moment of just kind of saying, you know, that pissed me off, and I'll even kind of react to it a little bit. But on the broader sense, you know, like, I know that some of these things are just kind of like, it's not worth my time to hold on to them, you know, like in extreme ways. And so you just kind of let it go, and it's just there. And it, you know, and that's the world that we would be better to live in, is a world where everything didn't have to be so it's this or that, you know, all this duality that we have, you know, like you're either good or bad, or this, can I just be a guy who's just kind of like here doing my own stuff, worry about my own experience. And, you know, like if I kind of intercede and out of other people's lives for a moment here or there, we can share and have a little bit of, you know, kind of commisery amongst the misery.
For a second there. Yeah, he's back. Okay.
You know, that's one of those things, to learn how to see the world beyond those kind of parameters of the physical materialistic. But now I'm kind of getting to another thing. So,
all right. Well, we'll that's okay. We'll move on. You dropped out for a second, but I heard most of what you said. So, okay.
Yeah,
so, no, it's okay. So next up, we got this. This is actually really interesting and ironic because, again, you would think somebody stealing assets for what is billed as an indie game that is a storytelling experience like Dustborn, that they would like be getting, you know, like just enough funding to get by. They have to cut corners here and there.
Oh,
but
no.
apparently that's not true. According to Grums, Dustborn used far more government money than has been previously reported. The Norwegian Film Institute funded the game for 14 million kroner, or nearly 1.4 million US dollars. This is in addition to the 150,000 euros from the Creative EU grant program. So the European Union and the Norwegian Film Institute, was a government organization institute, funded this game. Dustborn is basically an Antifa training game. You bash the fash across the divided states of America by using vocal powers to call people racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, you know. And there is a thread here, but I wanted to show some of these screens. I think we got the general gist of it. That shows, here we go. Dustborn, paid by the EU, 150,000 euros. Or no, yeah, 150,000 euros. And this is in like fucking, what is this, Viking talk? I don't know, dwarf. So I can't read it, but it shows here that you can see that they got 1.4 million USD, which is 14 million kroners, or is it kroner or krona? I thought it was kronas, and you can see that there. And there are currently 33 people playing in game. So what is let me see, make sure my streams are still going. Yep, still going over here. And it's just that John dropped, so he'll be back, I hope. Oh yeah, he's coming back now. All right.
I do
Happens.
apologize.
No, it's okay. It is what it is. We do our best. Try to deal with it.
Yep.
I don't know if it's. Hopefully it's not, because the thing is with Video Ninja, which is what we're using.
Yeah.
If you're in two things at the same time, it can I did a show
Right,
with.
because it tries to split its its listeners. I run into that kind of issue all the time. It could be that, but I'm supposed to have fiber optic internet here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So
Sure.
If it's still
Okay.
doing that after that, then yeah. But right now, I just think it might just be my spotty internet.
All right. Well, that's okay. I had a spotty internet last week, so anyway, at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is that this game Dustborn was funded. I don't know if you heard this part, by the taxpayers of the Norwegian Film Institute and the European Union. So there you go. Like, if you didn't want this game to exist and you wouldn't have funded it, and you live in those places, guess what? You funded it. So, and that's the thing about taxation. Like, it doesn't give you a choice. And the government is going to want to, do you want the government involved in your entertainment? I think this should be a non-starter, but maybe some of you do. As an American, no thanks. And I know that we still get to some degree not to some degree, we get a lot of propaganda anyway, because the Pentagon, I don't know if you guys know, but the Pentagon gives millions of dollars to Hollywood to make movies. And Hollywood is in bed with the CIA, and there's a lot of other things going on. So it's not like we're immune, but at the very least, you should be aware that the woke games that are supposedly not going to make, a return on their investment might still, because they're using taxpayer dollars, which in the mind of people who work in these organizations like the EU means that they have unlimited money, so they can spend it however they want. Well, they think that anyways. Yeah. So,
which is funny, because every time you get into these conversations, people are like, well, the money's going to dry up. Capitalism's going to work. We're going to beat them by speaking through our wallet. And it's like, I understand what you want to do, and I appreciate it. And I totally there with you in spirit. Unfortunately, the corruption of our monetary system and the entire form of financial modeling just means that you are Sisyphus in this instance, pushing up the boulder, of eternal kind of corruption. And so have fun with that, and if you think that you're going to be able to, it's again, the whole thing about rule books. They're not playing by the same rule book that we are. And a lot of people on this side are like, well, I want to be compassionate, considerate, and think about I want to do this in the tried and true, American way. And I'm going to stand by my principles and my values. And it's important. And it is. However, again, you're dealing with people that give two shits about any of that. So,
yep.
Yeah,
no, for sure. All right. So let us know what you guys think about that. In a related story, I wanted to show something else. This is the consulting firm that worked on Dustborn. So, DDM is they're like an investment and consulting firm. And there is a bit here on their representation. Now, obviously, I think this should be like a non-starter surprise, but I think that we're going to look at what else DDM is working on so that we get a sense of what we want to avoid. Treat it like Sweet Baby Inc. It's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
Black girl gamers, baby ghosts, whatever. So DDM representation. DDM represents talented development studios around the globe that create great games on every platform. With its worldwide business development team and deep industry relationships, DDM secures full game deals and co-development projects for its clients. Always with a personal touch, DDM has secured hundreds of deals and deeply understands how to run extensive business development in an efficient and effective manner. We love working with DDM. The primary job of agents is to open doors and represent you. And of course, DDM does that well. However, they do so much more. They're a consistent sounding board, a top-notch group capable of making something good great. And here are some of the projects that they have worked to make happen. So we have, I don't know most of these. They're probably pretty indie. Oh, Curse of the Sea Rats. I know that. Curse of the Sea Rats. I never played it, but I like the art a lot. Alba, a wildlife adventure. Dark Star 1, which looks really generic. Dustborn, a Euden Chronicle, 100 Heroes, and Shrouded. Don't know much about these. Everspace 2, if any of these remind, like if you played them or you've heard about them, let us know. Glitchbusters, Stuck on You. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, development assistance.
So they did asset work. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they didn't steal those. Hello Kitty, Day at the Park, Island Adventure, and Just Dance VR.
That's where
Welcome
they learned
to Dance City.
That's where they learned to practice, you know, when they were doing the remaster. They were just like, oh no, we're taking old assets and we're putting work into it. So like it's something new.
Yeah.
It really, you know.
Oh, they worked on
wireframe.
River City Girls too. So like, okay, I never played it. I liked the first one. River City Girls was a lot of fun, but it was certainly a feminist game. Like I'm not even gonna pretend that's not what it was.
It was a feminist reboot of River City Ransom. They completely did a gender swap on River City Ransom because that was a game from the 1980s where
what they did was they didn't do a gender swap. They took the girls that you had to rescue in River City Ransom and made them the protagonists, and then you had to rescue the boyfriends. So they just did again. All they can do is invert. So they just inverted the plot.
Right. Well, I guess I said gender swap when I should have said they did a switcheroo.
A switcheroo
because they didn't swap anybody. They didn't switch anybody's gender specifically, but they switched the roles of the people that would normally be. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just, it's just a small point of correction. So, but yeah, it looks like they've worked on quite a bit. And I think it's something that we should maybe remain vigilant on, you know? So, just wanted to point that out. All right. So in other news, let me see what else we got here. As an aside, I just wanted to point this out because I just thought this was funny. We're kind of like getting to the point where the stories are getting shorter. So someone responded to Grums's post about GTA assets, which again we can look at right here. You guys want to? This is the Dustborn room, and this is the GTA counterpart, I guess. Or I'm looking at. Oh, it's a mirror. It's basically like a mirror image of it. Well, no, it's from a different angle.
No, they're on the other side of the hallway. Yeah, they're just they're in different
the other
parts
end
of the room.
hallway. Yeah, it's the same room, but it's in different areas. And then we have here's another shot. This modern art crap. Oh man, it's so appropriate. And then GTA. Yeah. Which GTA is this? Is this 5 or
this is GTA Online?
Oh, it's
this
GTA
is GTA
Online.
No,
okay.
this is GTA Online. I know because I have literally lived over a year of my life in GTA Online. It's sad, but it's true. It's nearly 500 days. You know, calculated. Dude, that's over a decade of playing. So,
and yet I think people are still playing it, right? I mean, people are still playing.
I still turn it on from time to time, but God, is it just an ever-loving chore slog? And it's boring now. Yeah,
I played a bit of Red Dead Redemption 2 online, and it was also like I don't know, you play for a little while and you're like, there's not a lot going on here. But here's the thing.
The only thing I do in Red Dead is cards. You can still play poker in Red Dead.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah. So here's the thing I really wanted to highlight though from this page. Predation Ludes replies to Grums and says, I keep seeing people talking about Concord and Dustborn, but everyone seems to have forgotten the world's first quadruple A game released a few days ago and is already marked 60% off for the next days to lure people in, referring to Skull and Bones. Apparently only has 2,500 people playing right now, and that was a quadruple A game, guys. What happened to the quadruple A? The quadruple market, the quadruple A market. What happened to that? I guess we'll see. We'll see. So, Star Wars Outlaws is out, or that's not out yet.
I don't think. I'm sorry. No, it's out.
The reviews.
The reviews. But reviews are
The reviews are out. Yeah, and it's a bit of a it's a bit of a mixed bag. And I guess well, actually, let me see if I can find any reviews. Let's see. Is it on Metacritic yet, you think? Star Wars?
I mean, Guys, the articles that I've read was about the embargoes and everything like that, where like a lot of people were just saying we're going to try to do what we can to get information
they only
on
had
this.
they only had a little bit of time to play the game, and because there was an embargo. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
It was basically just the people that are reviewing it. There might be some reviews out, but like I said, they've only had access to it for even a few days. So some of the stuff that you've even seen is just the immediate things. Like, we were all complaining about how terrible that character model was over the course of the last few months, and well, I guess we shouldn't have really said anything because it looks even worse now.
Yeah. So,
I mean, and that's kind of the punishment thing. Oh, you think that's bad? We'll do this.
Yeah. So the reviews are here, and they're basically swimming around 7 out of 10. Like they're basically like
that's the high.
It's that yeah, on the high end, it's like a 7 out of 10. So they're basically like, oh, it's solid. So, but then the thing is, okay. And here's the thing too, is that David Jaffe, David Jaffe is the game developer. I've interviewed him a couple of times. I spoke to him a couple of times. He and I don't really agree on a lot, but I'm still a fan of the good games that he made back in the day. Twisted Metal, God of War.
A long time ago.
Yeah, God of War and Twisted Metal. But he's been he's been streaming games and talking about video games and talking about the business a lot on his channel. And sometimes I watch because I'm still subscribed to him. And so he did a thing about where he played through about as much as he was able to of the Star Wars Outlaws. And at the end, he basically said what I think is the general consensus is that, they were like, yeah, it's a solid game. It's not doing anything revolutionary. I don't think it's worth the price tag coming out. It's worth waiting on a sale. So basically it's a 7 out of 10 game. And the thing is, if you get the deluxe edition or whatever, it's like $120 or $150.
Oh no, it's 130 plus tax. So depending on where you're at state wise, you're looking at about $150.
So not worth it. He's like, it's not worth it. Day one, it's not worth it. And that's kind of bad, but it got a higher. So remember when we looked at the reviews for Black Myth Wukong, I think last week, and one of the things they docked it for was lack of diversity, that the woman who docked it. Yeah. That same site gave Star Wars Outlaws a higher score, made no mention of whether it lacked anything in their woke categories, because it didn't, because you play a jawed up woman that's basically just Han Solo, but they just don't want to admit that that's all it is.
Yeah,
they were like, we'll make it a female and we'll give him a sidekick, but instead of a really big hairy guy, we're gonna make it a little tiny, I don't know,
space
fucking
kitty.
It's basically like a space cat. So yeah, just kind of basic. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys were looking forward to it. And the thing is too, I don't understand. First of all, it's weird that Ubisoft can get these games out so fast. I mean, I know that they're a big company with lots of studios, but it seems to me that what they do. Go ahead. You're gonna say.
Oh, that's because I learned this a long time ago when I was in the game design. And this is the problem, that video we watched last week where one dude was like, well, you guys need to stop shaming these games. You just need to buy them, because if you don't, we're all gonna get the exact same thing. And
don't you want games, bro?
Right. And it's like, dude, the reason why you get games the way you get them is because they're all using the exact same engine, number one. In many instances, they're using a lot of the exact same assets, number two. And then, on top of that, a lot of this stuff is also when you're dealing with it, is the exact same game that you've been playing time and time again with a little bit of shifting. Even though I know a lot of us won't play it and haven't played it, that shitty Spider-Man game is actually the base engine for what will be the shitty Wolverine game that were both ruined by Sweet Baby Inc. One formerly and one currently. So
it's gonna be
out is terrible.
Oh, don't even, dude, it's gonna be a train wreck. Oh, I can't wait to do a show about it. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to give them a cent.
Right.
So yeah, that is correct. And that's the thing. This is you know, the Star Wars Outlaws, I don't think it's doing anything new. I think it's just Assassin's Creed with a Star Wars paint job.
Skin.
And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. Like, it's basically Assassin's Creed with a Star Wars paint job, and people are going to act like, OMG, you know, it's got the sound effects, it's got the music. Yeah, but like, I'm playing, I haven't played it in a little while, but I was playing Jedi Survivor, which is the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. And I'm playing Jedi Survivor, and I'm like, well, why would... Jedi Survivor is not that old. It came out like a couple of years ago. Why is there this game now when you could just play that? And I'm wondering, too, how many of the assets from Jedi Survivor are being reused for Star Wars Outlaws? Because it's like, you know, the time periods might be a little different. I don't know when this game takes place, but I'm guessing it's kind of probably around the same period, because then you can have the Empire and all this, and you know. But I think that it's like they're just making another Jedi Survivor shortly after Jedi Survivor just came out. Like, I feel like it did anyway. So Mighty Keith is pictured here. He's a streamer, I think. I don't know. I don't watch them. And he says, like clockwork, bro, the conversation is no longer about the actual game with these type of people. It's about how the game helps their side in whatever ideological war they are having with God knows who. This is a typical weak-ass, beta, bitch-made, centrist take. Look, people can do whatever they want with their money, full stop, period. Okay? That's the way that markets work. If somebody doesn't... And the thing is, this game is... I'm telling you, it's going to be here and gone. Like, if you see a cosplay of like you know, of like the main character of this game,
as what I call her, she's beet juice.
Yeah,
as you know.
Yeah, if you see someone cosplay that character, I guarantee you they were paid by Ubisoft to do it, to try and like create hype. No one is interested in this, and it's okay. Like, we'll look at the sales later. Maybe there are still culture junkies out there that just gotta have the new thing from Star Wars, or the new thing from Marvel, or the new thing from brand. And but I think that it's okay for people to have this opinion. And here we see, you know, some of the screenshots, real gamers versus their army of modern audiences. So it's basically comparing Black Myth Wukong's numbers to games like Flintlock and Zao and other bullshit indie woke trash games that nobody's playing. Metacritic, Star Wars Outlaws, expect reviews to kick off next week, and check out running lists of impressions. Okay. And we have this guy named Shinobi602 that says Black Myth Wukong has hit over 1.808 million players on Steam, passing the all-time CCU for games like Cyberpunk and Elden Ring, and making it among the top 6 most played games ever on the platform, which is probably true. I would say, the last thing about this, and I'll let you say something. I would say that the best way to see how well Star Wars Outlaws is doing is, in fact, to compare it to Black Myth Wukong, because it is a similar kind of game, like in terms of like it's a single player experience,
mechanics and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, I think that it's a single player game. Like I know that the differences are that Star Wars Outlaws is open world, and it's obviously a science fiction setting. Black Myth Wukong, from what I've heard, is almost like a boss rush game, but it is they're both single player experiences. And I would assume that Black Myth Wukong has in-depth combat mechanics, whereas, you know, Outlaws has like stealth and piloting and driving and shit like that. So, but we'll see. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I mean, you know, I really don't have any too much more to offer on this, because we've said a lot about it over the course of months and weeks, and just even here right now, just kind of like, you know, in stating that this is just a skin job, and it's superficial. It means absolutely nothing to anyone. Doesn't mean anything to Ubisoft. Doesn't mean anything to the audience. You know, the people that are gonna have like any kind of like this means something are, you know, the marketing asshats at Disney, and they're going to be pissed off at Ubisoft, which is perfectly fine. I would be, you know, if one of the only benefits that we get out of this Gamergate 2 is the delusion of Ubisoft as a corporation. I'll take it. You know, I mean, like, I would definitely want for better things, but to get Ubisoft out of the game industry,
they're
for the cancer, like,
they're pretty uninspired, honestly.
Yeah, I think they're worse than EA at this point, quite honestly. You know, because EA, I mean, they do what they do, but EA, you know, like, you know what EA is. Ubisoft, they pretend like they're somehow, like, you know, this noble independent thing that, like, you know, cares about, like, you know, like putting out stories nobody's heard before, and that's because nobody wants those stories. Number one, generally, and what they're actually doing is the story that we were talking about earlier, where they take all their money from the various financial scheme and models that are out there, be that from, I'm going to take money from, like, you know, like governmental entities, you know, DEI, slush funds, all this kind of stuff, you know. And this is what they do. You know, like, they are looking to get paid from third-party intermediaries so they can just put out this dreck, and, like, people will probably believe that, this was something that was supported, there's people that are investing in it, and it's this, but why? You know? And that's the stuff that we do like to get into here is the, you know, just because you're seeing something right now, do you actually know the reason why you're seeing it? And maybe this is just a transitory kind of event for the next thing. And, you know, like, a lot of the stuff that is going on is leading to what the next thing actually is, which is more of this lawfare censorship that's being done through terms of service agreements and things like that. And that's kind of ostensibly what they did with this Star Wars Outlaw in terms of setting up the review embargo, you know, is for their sales, for the safety of their sales. Reviewers can't know enough about the game to actually give people a decent review, because we live in a stupid world that's governed by corporations, quite literally governed by corporations that are completely self-interested and self-dealing. And so, you know, that's what this whole thing about safety and fairness. I'm going to mention every time we do a show, I will say the word safety and fairness at least once an episode until people are, other than me, until I start seeing it in every other YouTube show where people are railing on safety and fairness. So they have to stop this or rebrand it. I will not stop beating this drum, because this is the reason why you can't teabag in Halo. It's the reason you can't call drug businesses and Grand Theft Auto. It's why you aren't going to be able to give proper reviews on things. All this stuff, these are just various physical manifestations of the intention behind it, which is to censor you and to silence you and prevent you from being a dissenter.
Yeah. All that's true, man. All right, so let's get into some good news, or at least something positive. So first of all, I guess it's like this is a bit of a mixed bag, but Grums has shared a new game. He says indie game Soul Lash Game is being review bombed on Steam because the creator does not want to change the game to support same-sex relations. The creator, Artur Smiarski, is being called phobic and other not so nice things because he doesn't want to virtue signal in his game. I DM'd the creator, who said, quote, "It's being repainted as me being against LGBTQ, but I'm not. I took my stance against forced inclusivity in games," end quote. And here, so he has a game.
I love his reason.
Yeah, he has a game. It's on the Steam store. It's called Soul Lash 2. So I guess there was a Soul Lash. And it's a sandbox RPG roguelike with a procedurally generated open world, simulated history, skill-based progression system, customizable abilities, material-based crafting, building, trading, and the possibility of total mayhem. Will you save your world or destroy it? Graphically, these are the reviews. So obviously he has committed the terrible crime of wrongthink, and so they're review bombing him on purpose.
Right.
And you can see that there. If you go to the Steam store, it's a bit, I'm not going to get too much into this, but it's a bit of a, graphically not that intense. It uses pixel graphics, and it almost looks like a top-down Minecraft. So
right. Well, this is one of those stories that exists like in two levels, because there's the headline and then there's like actually what's going on. Because the headline is this guy's terrible and he's phobic, but he made a story like the actual context is about a family through the generations.
Yeah.
And you kind of need a man and a woman to have generational families. So
it's almost like that's the most important part.
Right. So yeah, you really can't change that aspect of the game, because that is the game. Men are men, women are women, and they reproduce. Deal with it.
Yep. By the way, I did get a Rumble rant from NobaFan. Thank you, Rumble NobaFan. He says, for $1, new meme, press triangle to get triggered. I have that meme. It's from Dustborn. It's just like the triangle trigger. I don't know. I gotta find what's the best place to use it. I don't know. I'm thinking it could be a reaction meme. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, yeah, if you're interested in supporting an indie developer, check out Soulash. I think I added it to my wish list here.
Yeah.
It's it's cheap, you know.
Yeah. Well, just so people know, one thing that we will be doing in support of these shows on the server that I've put together, because every episode we like to mention an independent game that's actually doing something good, or like, you know, something that you could actually look to. And so on the server, we're gonna start taking the games that we're talking about and just putting links to where you can actually find them on Steam and this and that. Because, you know, before we even started the show, back when you interviewed me, you asked me, what do you think people should be doing? And I said, I think that we should actually be promoting people doing the good work. And so, you know, over the course of this weekend, it just kind of like hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I am one of these people who's doing the good work. So let me do it. And so, you know, I turned on my Discord server, and it's just like, let's do this. You know, let's make a space where people can actually find good resources and, you know, actually, you know, benefit the people that are benefiting actual media in terms of, you know, telling stories and not just going along with agenda-based narratives.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next thing. We're just gonna be looking at stuff that's, you know, generally positive. So next up, we got apparently this Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is a remake of Snake Eater, is exactly what fans want. A fanatically faithful remake that doesn't leave a hair out of place. This is from PCGamer.com. And, well, I mean, apparently, because, well, let's be honest, a lot of the remakes have changed things. Resident Evil, was it Resident Evil 3 changed things? It was Resident Evil Nemesis, the remake of that. Resident Evil 4 remake, Dead Rising changed things. Lollipop Chainsaw made changes. There was
Silent Hill, which is also from Konami.
Yeah, Silent Hill. Yeah, so Silent Hill, that was the one I was thinking of. They jawed her up. Yep. So this one appears to be as faithful as possible, and it's probably going to be, I mean, like, isn't it running on the Unreal 5, I think? It looks great.
I think so.
It looks great. And some people, Lat says Lollipop made changes like what? Well, I think it's like just kind of like little things, like the visual. You can look up. It's superficial. It's not like, you know, damning things, but it's like some of the way that it displayed the artwork changed. That's what I saw, some pictures side by side. So there were little changes, but I think for some people that might be a deal breaker, you know, because it has like this.
It's definitely worth a mention.
Yeah, they do this like overlay of like a sort of almost like a cell shaded or poster style imagery, and they don't do that, or at least not as much. So apparently,
well, I know a lot of the Lollipop Chainsaw girls specifically have that. However, it's come into fashion, like the ultra high crop top thing that like women aren't allowed to have cleavage.
Oh yeah.
You can't have. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I have to look into it, but
give them that uniboob.
Yeah.
Action, you know, it's kinda...
right. The shelf. So anyway, so Metal Gear Solid looks good. John Ford said music and Zed has been revoiced. So there you go. I didn't know that, but that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, next up. So I'm looking forward to that Metal Gear Solid. I'm sure that Max Garrett is too. And for some people, you know, I don't know which is my favorite Metal Gear. I think I still really like the first one, but I think that I could get into the third one again. That's Snake Eater I'm talking about.
You know, for a lot of people, they say Metal Gear Solid 3 is the pinnacle of the series, and I certainly understand people that argue that. For me, it is Guns of the Patriots. It is
4.
It's well, actually, no. Actually, well, there's parts of
I like
that,
4.
But yeah,
I think 4 gets. It's not that it gets a bad rap, but I don't think people talk about it enough. I like
right. But
Old Snake.
But yeah. Four is to me, you know, how the story is wrapped up in a conversation at the end, because like when you actually talk about like the war, right, the culture war that we're going through, you know, like we have these skirmishes, we have these battles, this and that. Wars never end on a battlefield. They always end on a handshake and some degree of reverence and, you know, kind of understanding or appreciation of what you just went through, you know. And so that's kind of the respect, if you will, like to, you know, kind of look back on the thing. And so that's what I love about it, is it's just getting to that idea that it's like, you know, Snake has been manipulated his entire life, and he's not even, you know, technically a real human, you know, but he finds his humanity through the experience of doing these things. And, you know, like it's an amazing story about the human spirit in and of itself, and just kind of like the thing that he goes through in that story, that it is my of all of them, it's probably easily my favorite. But 3 is a great game though.
Yeah, 3 is a great game.
Treat us like a damn fiddle!
All right, so let's get into the next thing. I wanted to show you guys a new trailer for Mouse, PI for Hire. And this is a gameplay trailer that came out pretty recent. It was at Gamescom 2024. So let's just take a look at that. Let me turn this off really quick. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, there's no sound. I'm sorry. Hold on. I got to unmute it. Mute the site.
I got the sound.
Yeah, it was just because I muted the site for everybody else.
Right. There we go.
It's got wall running. The shotgun. Ruger or something.
I'm thinking the shiny brass myself.
Yeah, the music is great. The health is like a little heart. Definitely got that 2D like boomer shooter graphics for the enemies, but I don't hate it. He shot the chandelier. Shut up.
Drumming man, he's a drumming man.
Wow, this just keeps going.
Kicks a set of drums just like he can. All about biology, he knows not a thing. The way
almost over.
He out on those drums, you know he's really king. Drumming man, he's a drumming man.
There you go. So that is Mouse PI for Hire. It looks fun to me. I like the look. Yeah, I dig it.
We're gonna go play the Roaring Twenties in the I guess the Boring 20s.
The music's great.
It is. I love that so much.
Okay, so in other news, something's going on here. Let me close. Okay, here we go. Niche Gamer put this announcement out this morning, and I think that there's gonna be a good deal of hype about this. So, did you know Stellar Blade is coming to PC? Stellar Blade PC port coming in the near future will perform even better than on console.
Can they do a director's cut that restores all the lost everything?
Well, who cares? We don't need it because the mods have been activated. the modders are rise from your grave.
Right, which is also another reason beyond anything else why we are, I believe, in the I mean, they'll still exist in forms, but this is like the last generation of console dominance. Like, there's no reason. I mean, I haven't thought about buying an Xbox since they pulled that shit with the Kinect. What, 2 generations ago?
Yeah.
And this PS5 that I own is like one of the most underwhelming. Just kind of like, ugh. I'd rather play my PS4 Pro in some instances, just because, I mean, in terms of how it actually, have the experience of doing stuff. There's stuff on the PS5 that just like, it was built for the corporation and we deal with it. Whereas in the past, the consoles used to be built for the end user, but now we're not end users, we're consumers, and we're just putting on the feed bag and like being told, eat this. What is it? Don't worry about it. You're just supposed to eat it. And, the GTA interface, the PS5 interface is just so ham-fisted and just, it lost, like, there was really good UI and just the user experience of PS4, I think, was, they hit it and they had it, and then they pushed it now for stupid nebulous analytical bullshit, and it's undermined the actual, stability of the console in and of itself. So yeah, this is my last go around on consoles. PC Master Race, not just PC Master Race, but Linux PC Master Race.
Yeah.
Through Microsoft.
I mean, I think Nintendo will always be around, but But I don't necessarily consider Nintendo anything unique other than Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo is Nintendo, right? So, well, okay. So that's it for Stellar Blade. It's going to be coming to PC, and like game modders are going to have a field day. You're going to see new ladder physics like you've never seen before. So get ready. You said new ladder physics, not nude ladder physics. Nah, like I said, new. You probably see that too. But yes. Yeah, they're going to do, because I've seen the kind of shit that modders have done with games like Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake. So yeah, I think that we're gonna prepare your eyes for a feast is what I'll say. Okay, so we're gonna end it on this. We're gonna do a quick health check on modern gaming right now. So we're gonna start with Concord. How many people are on Concord these days? 161. And if we look at the charts here, last time it peaked there were 276. Yeah, the hype's died since it came out when there were almost 700. That actually we covered that. So it's only been on a steady decline ever since. Yeah. So,
you'd love to see it. I mean, really you do, because the game is just the worst. I still haven't decided which is the worst between the two, between this and Dustbin, because at least with Dustbin, like it's not so repugnant and off-putting that, like I've at least seen some people actually like Savvy. She played it for 7 hours, and did a thing. I don't see anybody like, they tried to get me into the beta 3 times for Concord, and every time it's just like, no, stop this. I do not want, like you could offer me money and I would still tell you no.
I'm going to tell you why Concord is a failure. It's not just because of the wokeness. It's not just because of the pronouns and the cringe dialogue the characters have, and the fact that it's a live service that you have to pay full price for. There's another aspect to this that I think is overlooked. Aesthetics are very important to gaming. it's something that people don't want to understand, but it really is. And when I mean aesthetics, there's a certain way to approach character design and game design that this game does not have. It is literally just derivative garbage. All they did was they looked at Guardians of the Galaxy and said, we're going to do that, or we're going to do it our way. And they didn't even do that well. And this is, so here's the reason why this doesn't work. I'm going to have to compare it to Overwatch. Even though Overwatch is like, what, 7 years old at this point? So I think it's, 2017. Oh, it's older than that. It's like 8 years old, 9 years old. It's a pretty old game, okay? But the reason why Overwatch worked is because the aesthetics were there. It had a very like Pixar kind of look to it. It was what drew people right in, right? They saw these models. They had this cartoonish appearance, and Blizzard knows how to do that. Like they've always had, well, at least back when they made Overwatch 1, they had talented people. After Overwatch 1 came out, there was this Me Too thing that swept through the company and got a bunch of talented people fired, which is why Blizzard has never recovered. But anyway, they had an art style, and they built the game explicitly to try and draw in female players. But the way that they did it, and this I think was pretty smart on their part, was not to necessarily dumb the game down, but to make it competitive so that you're always fighting against other players, and to set it up to where there were some of the playable heroes were easier to play because they than others, right? There were different like skill levels, and you could just get in on the ground floor. So when I played it with my wife, she originally, I think she just played Mercy, which is the healing character that is pretty easy to use. You just, stick to somebody, you follow them around, and then like occasionally you try to get out of the way. And it made it like it was a really good way for her to get into the game. She never got into like, characters like Tracer or whatever, but she did that, and she played Reaper because, again, not that hard to use, 2 shotguns, get up close, and from there she just improved at the game and then tried different other characters. So that's one thing, is that they made it, they gave it a beautiful aesthetic. They made it feel like it was something that was more than just a product, even though they never expanded on it after that. And this is also extremely important, all the characters were cosplayable, especially the female ones. And a lot of the ways that women get involved with culture is through that. They through a kind of, I don't know, like from an influencer perspective, like they want to dress up like them. They want to have the same hairstyle. They want to wear the clothes. They want to cosplay. And a lot of times you can look up Overwatch cosplays. It's overwhelmingly female. Overwhelmingly. They'll even do gender swaps of the male characters. And by doing that, they are in fact increasing the hype and contributing to the culture around this phenomenon, which is why Overwatch remained relevant for a good 6 years. I mean, it's dead now, basically. Like, there's only a few diehards, but the point is it's still there, and it still has some of that marketability. Concord has no remarkable characters. It's got ugly design. Nobody's going to cosplay these characters. Nobody. And hold on.
The characters are remarkable. They're remarkably bad.
Yeah,
because that is all you ever hear about. So they are remarkable.
Here's another thing that these people forget too. One of the reasons why women cosplay the Overwatch characters is explicitly because they are sexualized. Like they can and women want to be seen as sexy. The Concord characters are not. They are androgynous across the board. They're desexualized on purpose. This is essentially the anti-Overwatch. Like, it's the reverse. And that's why it's dead, because women want to look at sexy women too, because they want to dress like them.
Yeah. If I want to play with a thumb, I already have those at the end of my hands, right? So, like, why do I want to play a cast of thumbs? And if you are going to play a cast of thumbs, why not just go all the way and actually get the thumb license and show me, like, Thumbtanic and Thumb Wars and, like, all the, like, this is just absurd for, like, the point of, oh, I need to, like, feel good about myself and my pronoun decisions. I don't care about any of that. Can you just make a good game? Your job is to make a game. Your job is to, like, actually sell something to an audience. And if you don't even know what that audience wants to begin with, or you're actively going out of your way to make something that the audience is going to have to learn to appreciate what we do, because what we're doing is for them. Yeah, guess what? I don't care. I don't need your fucking lecture. I don't need your, high-minded bullshit, your ignorant arrogance, your arrogant ignorance, the combination of the two where you're just kind of like, this sounding board for like your buzzwords and bullshit. Can you just deliver? Just do the thing. I don't even care if it's like the best looking thing in the world. Can it just be fun? Do that.
Well, again, they thought that they were doing women a favor, and I just want to point out they weren't, because like literally e-girls became the thing that they are because of sexy cosplay. Do you remember
they hate e-girls too?
They
hate
do,
gamers and e-girls.
They do. They hate Instagram, online thoughts, whatever. They use this to sell that, like, to make money. Like, that's what they do. So like, why pretend that's not what's happening? And Concord does not understand that, and that's why it will fail. It's more than just the game itself. Anyway, it's culturally empty. How is Dustborn doing? 34 players. Oof. That is a big oof. Has it gone down?
That too would be culturally empty.
Wait, is this a flat line? No, that's the price. The price hasn't changed. What are the numbers? Let me see. Charts. Let's see. Charts. That's what I want. Oh, right. Nobody's playing.
Oh yeah, that Dead Space was where they shut down the server for a moment. That was not that nobody was playing. They did shut down the server. So it wasn't that people chose not to play. It's just that nobody could play for a moment. But yeah. To its credit, it's not as though everybody just stopped.
Not what I was thinking about, but I guess point taken. But yeah. So Dustborn, even more dead. And here's the thing too. This is also worth pointing out. The thing about these games like Dustborn, people are going to stop playing it once they're finished with it. So they're going to die after that. Now that means that, like, for example, Black Myth Wukong, which I'm going to show now, even though it's still at 1,122,266, as people finish the game, if they don't feel like doing another playthrough right away, then they're going to put it down and the sales for it are going to drop. Like, I noticed that when this game came out, Shadows of the Erd Tree, which is the expansion for Elden Ring, there were few people on the servers because they were playing this. Because it's kind of like there's some overlap in the audiences. So as a single player game, I'm just, bear in mind that this, and Dustborn is a single player game. So this makes it extra pathetic. Because, like, even when the few people, like 30 people, are done with it, it's going to be gone. Like, that's how tragic it is. And I actually have a feeling, so right now there's nothing for Star Wars Outlaws yet, because the game hasn't launched. But I have a feeling that, considering the amount of time and money and effort that was put into that game, it's going to be like a loss. And that's why I think you're going to see a lot of people coping like they are with Concord even now. There's people going, "Oh no, it's a good game. Why aren't you playing it? Oh man, what? Tell me why this game sucks." Or
I would imagine
just like a bigot or something.
Yeah, I would imagine that right now already, Ubisoft is in conversations with Sony about when they're going to put it on the PSN free game of the month within the next year's time.
You're talking about
so that
Star
they can
Wars?
actually, yeah.
Oh yeah,
already. They're planning. I mean, this is the thing we were talking about. They're going to get their funding somehow. They're going to get their money back, and so like a lot of it's just horse trading, which is part of the reason that these game Netflix services are in existence now, is so that they can, keep peddling shovelware basically. A carousel,
Yep. So anyway, that's it. That's the show. We got to end it here, but.
Now we're culturally empty.
Yeah, we're all out. Like, I mean, there's more I could do, but I think that's good enough. So, So, let us know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. Apparently, So, one more thing about Concord I want to point out that I thought was funny. This is proof of what I'm talking about. So, you need to like make it attractive to men and women. It needs to be beautiful in some way, sexy if possible, if that's a goal on some level. And it's not just, you're not just worrying about the male gaze. Because that's bullshit anyway. You're thinking about how the women will respond. And so when Overwatch came out, there was porn of it before the game came out. Just because of how well realized the character designs were for Tracer and Widowmaker. That was right off the bat. They already had the shit waiting, because that's just the nature of the internet. Literally, when Asmongold looked up Concord in a Rule 34 search engine.
.com.
And,
that's what its whole point is. Yeah.
It got zero results. So literally, it broke the one rule of the internet. If it exists, there's porn of it. There's no porn of Concord. That's how bad it is, guys.
I have my thumb already attached to my hand. I don't need to make thumb porn. That game is by far the ugliest thing that I have seen in quite some time.
Again,
it goes out of its way to be repugnant almost and repulsive. And that's why I don't even understand why, they have to understand that they pushed sales away with this thing. They have to. You can't make character model designs like that and assume anybody's actually going to be like, oh, wow, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. I wish that they could make more games like this. God, no. There's just those characters aren't even characters. They're just blobs with guns that don't even look like everything about the game. Just for as much as it is relying on its superficial layer of bullshit and that veneer of just kind of ooh, isn't this kind of cool and interesting? It completely and utterly fails. And when that is all that you have in most modern games, there is no surprise whatsoever why it is so bereft of sales and any interest and even any porn for that matter, because it's completely and utterly pointless. You can't even fap to it.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know if there's a lot of porn of Horizon Zero Dawn out there, but there probably is some. Anyway, and I don't want to know. Don't tell me what it is. But anyway, we're going to end the show there.
No, I'm good.
Thanks guys for coming on the stream. Thank you, John, for joining me and hanging out with us here. If you guys want to check out our Discord or my Discord servers in the description, and I will be adding his shortly.
What we'll do is next show.
Or you can put
you can contact info for my YouTube channel, the Discord, all the various things, and we'll put it in the description. It'll just be
we'll make it a part of the fixture. Well, if you want though, you can go into my Discord and put the link to yours in it. So there you go.
Indeed.
All right. Well, anyway. So please consider joining the Discord server. I look forward to see you guys there. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture. And we will talk to you all. Well, we'll talk to you in the next video. Long live Vivian. They tried to kill him.
In all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.